Who is we? Should we not have the people up?
What? Well, we'll get there. Hello, good evening, everybody. Happy Thursday evening. Welcome to I Love Comics Presents, and we are going
Hey
to
there, true believers!
and we are going to talk about the Eisner Awards and the nominees and discuss, do they still matter? Are the Eisners still relevant, or have they been thrown into the dustbin the way so many other awards in artistic endeavors have? So,
Well, I mean that's the thing, isn't it? There is no real award show with credibility anymore
yeah, yeah.
at this
Well,
I
point.
think it.
so
I think it went to hell when
yeah.
no-name YouTuber decided to do a show called the Spirit Awards
Well,
because the Eisners were
joining
so
me at the
bad,
start,
and it
yeah.
used
So
to get views,
yeah, so
just like his
joining
other
me
stuff.
joining me at the start here. This is LK, by the way. Is Dalton the Authenticator? How you doing tonight, Dalton?
I'm doing all right. Hello, folks.
And there's the evil black cat, who I think is probably still licking his paws and nursing his wounds over the fact that Liverpool will not win the title this year.
Eh, at least we're in the Champions League next year.
Again, this would be
I'm
more
not sure.
upsetting if this had any credibility whatsoever. It's
Yeah,
more.
well,
It's honestly more of a readout, as with so many of these award shows, as to how borked the industry is.
yeah. Well, we'll get into that. And in Black Cat, I'm not sure if I want to be in the continental Europe or whatever the hell that third string European cup is or not. So
I don't even remember the name of that.
yeah, and I don't want to remember Manchester United should be part of it. But we're not here to talk about football or
Yeah,
or
you should be in
soccer.
the second
Americas.
division where
Yeah.
you belong.
Yeah. Oh, haha. We're here to talk about the Eisners. So today, in association with San Diego Comic-Con, which is the organization that kind of helps award the Eisners, the nominees got announced for 2024. And there were some very interesting nominees that came through. And we'll also see the impact or lack thereof of what we call the big two. So I'm just going to put this up here that what's interesting is they talk about the fact here that Image and DC got the most nominations. Image got 17, DC got 13. What they talk about plus 8 shared is, as you'll see, like if somebody is nominated as the best writer, and if they wrote for both Image and DC, they both get credit. And then you see Fantagraphics got 11. Most of that stuff's, the archival stuff. I'm disappointed that Don Simpson didn't get a nomination for his version of the 1963 annual, which I think should actually probably get a separate Eisner all of its own for the achievement of actually putting a book out that nobody ever thought would come out. But
which again, these award shows are at this point a readout of, one, how borked is the industry, and two, how much does the industry like you at this point.
Yeah. I got a chuckle of the fact that IDW has 9 nominations. I think I posted in the Twitter chat the fact that IDW got more nominations than what the company is actually worth currently. Because I mean, they're still basically constantly circling the drain. They've been delisted from the stock exchange, everything, but they still somehow came out with 9 nominations.
Well, that might be part of the reason why. If the Eisners are anything like the Oscars, as you know, I'm sure, the surefire way to get an Oscar nomination is make a movie so dull and uninteresting that no one wants to watch it.
Yeah. So, and then way down
You
here,
know who works for IDW, right?
Oh yes, good old Heather, and
Yeah.
I'm sure she'll be taking credit for one of the nominations that we'll see here shortly. But
should we speculate on whether Zach was right, as in your boy Zach?
About, come on, you can specify it.
Yeah, let's not go into the joke then.
No, wait. You brought him up, and now I'm wondering what claim of his are you speculating?
Oh, just just the fact of what she's done in the industry to get forward, shall we say?
When
Oh,
you use
did
the
she
up-
did she pull a Zoe Quinn?
Yeah. Who knows?
No.
But we'll
A
see.
coffee.
But talking about one of her former employers, Marvel's all the way down here with just 5 nominations. And when you consider how big Marvel is, that's really, as far as I'm concerned, a massive disappointment. That is if you take the Eisners seriously, which at once upon a time they were. And we'll talk about, whether or not the Eisners matter at all, or, as I say, it's, they've been tossed aside now because they're so delegitimized because of, the actions and behaviors of
Well,
various people.
they're so out of touch with any of the people who enjoy the medium that they're working in. And
Yeah.
again, so many of these awards are basically the nepotism awards. How much does the industry like you? How much does the industry like your messaging or your theming or your whatever the fuck else that has no relevance to the actual storytelling, etc.
Yeah. So here they talk about a little bit about graphic novels. They got multiple nominations. And if anybody has read any of these books, because I had never heard of these at all, please let us know in the chat. And then, of course, you can say this also shows what the quality of the Eisners have become is Kelly Thompson has 5 nominations. Kelly Thompson, let that sit in. Kelly Thompson has 5 nominations. And as we'll see, I'll already, spoil it for you. Jeremy Adams has 0 nominations. Jeff Johns has 0 nominations. Pretty much name your favorite artist, and they don't have a nomination.
From what I've heard, like, legitimately, Kelly Thompson could have won as a nominee, not in the short list of nominations, not even the final 5 that are nominated. May be considered as in the short list, but other than that, nope.
What about
Short list or
Venditti?
short
Does
bus?
Venditti get any nominations?
Oh no. Honestly, I'm not even sure if he did any books in 2023. So
He
I
did.
guess
He did. He did Sandman.
Okay. Well, I guess so. We should mention that basically that books are eligible that came out in 2023. So
Okay,
if you had
that makes
if the book
sense.
came out in 2023, then you can be eligible because you'll. I mean, I had to double check for myself when I looked at one of the nominees for quote unquote best continuing series, because I was like, how much of that came out in 2023? And it turned out that it basically started in October. So they consider this.
Am I going to have to drink the absinthe when Outsiders gets a mention, or
No.
don't they get a mention?
I can spare you the absinthe. Outsiders, Lansing and Kelly did not get any nominations. So
There is still a hope for humanity somewhere in the world, ladies and gentlemen.
Okay, if it's just 2023, then Jeff Johns only did like 2 issues, so I don't think he'd get anything.
Well, the Stargirl miniseries came out in 2023. And personally for me, I would have nominated that for best miniseries.
Was that in 2023 though? I thought it was late 2022.
I thought it was 2023. Maybe I'm wrong. Again, it all starts to blur together.
I think it's crossing over 2 years.
Yeah. So
that's another problem with these award shows. It's always loosely minus 1 year of whatever year the actual thing comes out in. So where exactly is the cutoff? What month do you just go January to January, or do you go like summer season to summer season, or what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Well, I think Rhaegar here does bring up a good point. How can we talk about the Eisner Awards when there is genocide in Gaza? So, and it'll be interesting.
Because a large percentage of the books probably will not shut up about whatever pet political project they were working on at the time.
Oh, I know. Yes.
We won't get the Gaza themed ones until next year, but I'm sure there will be, F of N -1 political issues to deal with last year. in these.
Yeah, and Undead Quinn, I'm not quite sure we're there yet. I'm hoping that we can stave this off for a little bit longer, and we don't get God so mad at us. And he did promise he wasn't going to do that again. So, hopefully, I like to believe that God is a man of his word. So
we can
we'll
hope for fire this time, though. Maybe it will be a meteor shower of doom this next time.
I see you're voting for
He said he wouldn't use water the next time, so maybe it'll be fire this time.
I see you're voting for Smod in 2024.
Yeesh.
The sweet meteor of death. So anyways, we won't find out who the winners are until the ceremony on July 26th. So let's go ahead and start taking a look at some of these nominees, because I think it's kind of interesting here. So the first one they have up here is Best Short Story. Friendship is Forever by Sam Maggs, not to be confused with Maggs Saggio, although they have very much the same politics. And I keep going back and forth. I'm not sure if Sam Maggs is actually trans or not. But she's somebody who's kind of infiltrated her way into pop culture. She's written some various, hey, I'm a Star Trek fan kind of books and nonsense. And
wasn't Tinian dating Sam Maggs at one point?
I do not know, and I hope I do not find out. But anyways, that was in the My Little Pony 40th celebration by IDW. Then we have
if she wrote like the first ever Punchline series, then that's her. If not, then I'm thinking of someone else.
Okay. God, it might be. I have to double check. So then we have something called The Kelpie by Becky Cloonan, who a lot of us probably know from her disastrous run on Wonder Woman. In something from Dark Horse that was obviously some kind of anthology for Christmas Eve. The next two I looked up because I was just kind of curious, because I know that questions come up in terms of, do crowdfunded books get a fair shake when it comes to these kinds of awards?
Certainly not any we've heard of, because they're from all the bad people.
If it's crowdfunded by the same weirdos that they like, then yes. If it's by people with actual talent, then no.
Again, the nepotism awards.
So I took a look. So the Lady of the Lake here in Bump, it turns out that, yes, this was a crowdfunded book done on Kickstarter last year. This was the third anthology. So how many people do you think pledged to purchase Bump a Horror Anthology #3 in the Kickstarter?
I couldn't even begin to guess.
Oh, come on.
Okay. Even easy, more fun idea.
Yeah.
Is the number higher or lower than the number of people that pledge not to sexually harass co-workers?
Oh. In the comics industry, probably lower.
It's probably higher than the number of them that signed it that actually meant it, but there's that.
Yeah. Well, here I won't keep you in suspense that long. It turns out that there were a total of 119 backers for a grand total of £3,346.
Okay, and I also checked. It's not Sam Maggs, it's Sam Johns. That was Tinian's girlfriend who he got on the Punchline series when she was the hottest character around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then I wanted to point out too, this Talking to a Hill for Comics for Ukraine. So Zoop, I don't know if you guys know this, but Zoop is another crowdfunding platform that I think it appears that it's been created just for comic books. I don't know. I haven't looked too deeply into it.
I did not know that. I've never heard of them.
Zoop.
Yeah. Again, probably because it's not used by any of the bad people. So this is a book. It was edited by Scott Dunbier. I do recognize that name. I know he's done some mainstream stuff. But according to Zoop here, it was supported by 93 people and generated a grand total of $9,469.
Okay, so wait, 9,000 X dollars from only 93 people?
Yeah.
So you're saying this was funded by a bunch of rich twats?
Well, I'm looking here on the Explore the rewards, and the highest reward was you could get a hardcover signed by multiple creators, including Alex Ross, for $175. So 20 people signed up for that. 2 people got just the. You gotta love this. So you have the one where it's signed by 12 people, and it's $175, or you could get it just signed by Alex Ross for $100. So 2 people went for that. The
Underworld,
hardcover,
Undead Quinn, yes, and they also got funded by more people, which means they're more indicative of what people actually want. But
yeah.
That's why I highlighted that. In order for those numbers to be correct, you would have had to have had the average pledger pay more than $100 each in order for those numbers to be correct. Hence, this was very obviously funded by a bunch of twats with more money than sense. Line of thinking.
I hold on. I've got to share this tab because this is amazing for how little money they generated and the names that I'm seeing behind this. So this was the Zoop page. So here you go, the first level. So the hardcover has a cover by Alex Ross. As I said, you could get it signed by Alex Ross for $100. The hardcover went for $60. And then you have the soft covers. And you could choose from one that was done by Bill Sienkiewicz. And yes, folks, it's Sienkiewicz of New Mutants.
Sienkiewicz.
There's a soft cover by Dave Johnson. Or you could get a soft cover, and you could get an autographed soft cover by Art Adams for $60. So this one had covers by Art Adams, Dave Johnson, Bill Sienkiewicz, a hardcover by Alex Ross, and it sold to less than 100 people.
Again, I refer you back to my line about rich twats with more money than sense. Because I could literally get both volumes of Grant Morrison's Animal Man for $60. Actually, I think it would be less than $60.
Cow.
What's an Animal Man?
So here we go. So this hardcover.
Grant Morrison's Animal Man is a great series that you should read if you haven't read yet.
Yeah. So
that
this
is what Animal Man is.
The top level here, you could have gotten a book, $175, signed by Sergio Aragones, Kurt Busiek, Howard Chaykin, Mark Evanier, John Lehman, Rod Guillory, Stan Sakai, Louise Simonson, Walter Simonson, Chris Sprouse, Mark Wade, and Alex Ross.
And
what we wanted.
Still failed to break the 100 pledgers mark.
Yeah, and what's funny is I can't find any details in terms of let's see, anthology. This direct consumer storefront features 4 covers. So I've got to hope that somehow they found another channel besides Zoop to get this out. Because, I mean, it's ridiculous that has 100 people, less than 100 people that bought it. So then lastly, World's Finest Part 1, Tom King, Wonder Woman #3. So for those who aren't familiar, this is the story of the little girl Trinity being babysat by Damien, and Damien takes her on the adventure to the sewers to take on Killer Croc, and she kicks Killer Croc in the stomach. It's a cute little story. It's fine.
This they thought was worthy of an Eisner Award.
Yeah.
Even though Tom King wrote the story where Killer Croc was reformed and forgot.
Probably. Yeah. But I'm sure that it got the Eisner nomination for this panel here, because I know this is one that people were sharing out a ton. I'm not sure if people can see it there.
Yes, yes, we can see it.
Yeah, where Damon is, giving her the lesson and tying her shoes and doing the cutesy little bunny ears kind of thing. So again, honestly, this short story is far better than the Wonder Woman main story. But I don't think it deserves an Eisner nod, but again, that's the way these things go.
It's either that the pool of talent in the industry is actually that small, or that's the only type of talent that the industry notices anymore, or would prefer to notice, I should
Nah,
say.
it's because
Yeah.
Tom King has to be nominated for things thanks to his connections.
Yeah. Oops, no.
Nepotism awards.
Yeah. Oh, it is that. So, okay, so we'll move on to something, a little closer to our hearts, the best single issue one shot. So here we go. Something called Horologist by Jared Lee from something called Grim Film. At this point, I'm going to assume that this is some kind of
Something
crowdfunded
called what?
book. Then we have Nightwing 105 by Tom Taylor.
The fact that Tom Taylor is anywhere near the Eisner nominations is
Connections.
a readout of just how borked the industry's definition of itself has become.
No,
It gets better. It gets
Dalton.
better.
Oh, no.
Star
Dalton,
Trek, Day of Blood, Shaq's
wait.
Best Dig by
Okay.
Ryan North.
Let me explain this. Like Tom Taylor and Tom King, you can close your eyes. If they put out a book, the Eisners will have to nominate them. No matter how
Okay,
shitty
but
they are.
again,
Their
the fact that they are is a readout of how borked the industry has become. Because nepotism awards.
It is. Like next year's one, you will see Gail Simone's name in there. Like we don't even need to know what quality the book is. You're gonna see her name there next.
It is a silver lining that we haven't yet seen a Green Lantern Tom Taylor nomination, but I'm not holding my breath
He's not doing Green Lantern.
anymore.
He never did.
Wasn't he the one that did the gay Green Lantern that had that Spectre hugging him, even though the Spectre in the 90s had to go up to the top of heaven and ask the Archangel Michael if being gay was okay even in the 90s?
No, Dalton, that was
Tim Sheridan.
Yeah, Tim Sheridan.
Okay,
And
well then I'm
Also that is up for nomination for next year's selection.
then I apologize for conflating the two, because while they are both nepotistic pieces of shit, I would like to at least think that I would address things they've actually done properly.
Tim Sheridan is a worse nepotism piece of shit than Taylor.
What are they gonna give him this year, I wonder?
And here's how bad Tom Taylor's Nightwing is. I have gone on record that Nightwing is my favorite character in comics. I have avoided his entire run. Like I'm not even going to the Yo-Ho sites to read his Nightwing run. That is how bad he is.
Yeah. So I was just taking a look. So Nightwing 105 is the You Are Nightwing story, and apparently it starts out with, I guess, Barbara and Dick waking up in the morning.
It's the all Nightwing POV issue.
Yeah.
So they made yet another slice of life story in a superhero comic.
No, it looks like there's some action. But so I was just gonna say, I mean, hey, Cartoons Comics, how you doing? Welcome to Pat S on here and Glenzer, Undead Quinn. I saw Jim Sorensen popped in. We're going over the 2024 Eisner nominations. And it's funny, though, you do mention that Green Lantern story. I actually think that it should have qualified for this because it started in 2023.
Yeah, it was. I think it was done like what, 2-3 months ago.
And it feels like it. But I'm just going to tell you, like the next one here, Star Trek: Day of Blood. If it's by Ryan North, it means it's cutesy, haha, dumb, stupid, idiotic fun.
So missing every ounce of Gene Roddenberry's original like ethos, I assume.
Oh yeah, and this is where I'm sure probably Heather Antos is freaking is gushing on X or Mastodon or Blue Sky or whatever the hell the wokies are using about how great she is. And then we've got Superman Annual 2023 by Joshua Williamson and others. I heard that one's pretty good. And then Sweet Paprika, Black, White, and Pink by Mirka Andolfo. She's been doing that for a while. Again,
that's
Sweet
her own
Paprika.
creator own. No, that's her creator own thing. She's been doing that.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah, it's a creator owned thing, which I think has been decent. I haven't read much of it. I think I read a couple issues here and there. I honestly don't remember, but so out of those, what would be your single issue choice?
D, none of the above.
Josh Williamson is the only name here that doesn't scream hack. Actually, Mirka Andolfo, I think she's a better artist than a writer, so I can't call her a hack, but her writing isn't all that you write home about.
Yeah,
I'm sticking with my none of the above option.
Yeah, see, I might just vote for horrorologist just because it's not any of the other four. So let's get to continuing series here. Here's the first Kelly Thompson nomination, Birds of Prey by Kelly Thompson.
Which I maintain should not go into the final 5, but from what I've heard, like, it should make the list of names of books that might be nominated, but it shouldn't go into the final 5.
Are we all absolutely sure that this isn't the comic book Razzies? Have we been had? Is this the Bizarro World Eisner Awards?
No, because
that would make more sense.
there are 2 books here that do deserve to be on here. So
so we've got
Nightwing by Taylor. Bang goes my hopeful theory.
We've got Shazam by Mark Waid. We've got Transformers by Daniel Warren Johnson, and we've got, no surprise at all, Wonder Woman by Tom King and Daniel Sampere. So I think we're probably all in agreement that out of these 5, Transformers should win going away.
Yeah. Yes. It's not going to, because they actually despise quality, but it should win.
No. I mean, if you go by the politics, I'm guessing I think it's probably 50% Wonder Woman, 30% Birds of Prey, and 20% Nightwing.
That seems to be about right.
I think it's going to be Wonder Woman, depending on King's connections.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's continuing series. And I was going to point out, cartoons and comics, that's one thing we're going to talk about is, looking again, single issue, one shot, continuing series, 0 Marvel nominations.
Which is weird because I think, what was that book? I think Ghost Rider deserves the nom.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure there's a Marvel book that deserved a nomination, but now, of course, some people are going to argue, well, Marvel, and I don't know if this is true, but I'm sure some people are going to make an argument that, well, because Marvel doesn't care about it, they didn't push it or whatever. So,
and there are also DC books that probably deserve the nomination somewhere. But the point is, these award shows are not about quality, and they don't even feel the need to constrain themselves to quality. They're about how ideologically conformist are you, how much does the industry like you, and how much do you piss off the readership and or fan base.
Here's the thing. Shazam was good, but it wasn't this creative thing's best work. I think World's Finest was their better work. I think there is no way Nightwing makes it on this list. I think Marvel had a good Carnage run last year, and they had a good what is that character called? The Ghost Rider was pretty good. Moon Knight, Venkman, and the others were constantly praising it, so that could have gone there. And like I said, Birds of Prey should have been, from what I've heard, Birds of Prey could be in the conversation, but not in the final 5.
Yeah.
Like, how
I agree with you, Pat. Basically everything in the Mignola BPRD verse should probably be here rather than all of these, but you and me have been singing that song basically since we figured out about that universe, so I'm sure it still will not be done, even though it should be.
Well, I will tell you though that Mignola's up this year for the Hall of Fame. So he's one of the nominees for the Hall of Fame.
It's about frickin' time.
Yeah. So here we
The man
have
is a workhorse, and I don't think he's ever done a genuinely bad book. He's done some books that are sort of meh, but I don't think he's ever done a genuinely bad book.
Yeah. So
And
okay.
if you know of one, please someone tell me, because I am unaware of it.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on, we've got the best limited series category. So here's Kelly's second nomination, something called The Cull. I'm gonna guess it's some kind of horror book.
Which, from what I've heard, it was. I'm not sure which one of the two I'm thinking of, because I'm going to do an England team. Kelly Thompson and the Stephanie Phillips, who England team constantly mixes up.
Mm-hmm.
Those two both had like a Image ongo mini series. One of them I heard good things about. The other one I heard started off well, but basically as time went on, just went downhill super fast.
Okay. We've got Godzilla Here There Be Dragons by Frank Thierry and Inaki Miranda from IDW. So I'll say I'm not sure if this is the good Godzilla book. I know that there was a good Godzilla book last year, and this may be it. So
yeah, I think this is the good Godzilla book.
Yeah.
Gojira?
Yeah. So something called
we're not in Japan.
Kill Your Darlings by Ethan Parker, Griffin Sheridan from Image. And then why this is nominated, Pee Pee Poo Poo by Caroline Cash from something called Silver Sprocket. What in the God's unholy?
Yeah, I don't care if it's the greatest book ever written. Why is that the title?
I think no. The question is, why isn't all these books called that? Because that's the best description for all these books.
Well, I mean, yes, but one typically tries to title something eye-catching or engaging or interesting or even whimsical so as to make people want to read it. And just from that title alone, I am pressing X to doubts, which is a bad sign when your title makes the audience tune out immediately.
Okay, I've got to look this up right now. I apologize, I did not do my
due diligence
here. Okay.
LK, are you sure you want to go Google image search for pee pee poo poo?
Yeah,
that's
well,
I
put comic in there.
Forever.
So I put comic in there. So okay, so this is some kind of mini comic.
Cue the Batman Beyond meme. Do you have any idea how little that narrows it down?
Yeah. Well, no. So I'm on the Silver Sprocket. I guess I can share this. It doesn't look that bad. This is from the Silver Sprocket site here. Let me zoom this up. And just a horribly designed website. But anyways, so she won something called the 2022 Ignatz Award for a mini comic. Says she's an indie powerhouse. Her take on classic 60s underground comics. Discover dirty secrets of higher education. Oh, learn queer flirting in one beer. Okay.
Merciful freaking Hecate. Why?
So somebody is comparing this to Daniel Clo's 8 Ball. That's rather high praise. And of course, Comics Journal loves it. And here's some of the other books. So who knows which one of these is actually nominated, but it just seems like it's... I'm not sure how this necessarily qualifies as a limited series because there's numbers all over the place.
And again, for the record, I must ask, why? In all of the saints of all of the realms of everything that could possibly be kept as holy, why is that the title?
Because it's her take on 60s underground comics.
Even 60s underground comics didn't immediately make me want to cringe.
Yeah, so here we go. Caroline Cash's gay modern take on the 60s underground comic continues to make readers say, hell yeah. So there you go, folks. That's what this book is all about.
The best thing I can say for it is at least it does what it says on the tin, probably.
Yeah. Do we think this has sold more than 1,000 copies?
Not in a sane world, but we are looking a sane world in the furthest reaches of the rearview mirror.
I would say 1,000 copies were printed, possibly a dozen sold.
Yeah. Yeah. So there you get a sample page talking about obviously her recent move to Philadelphia. Caroline Cash is stoned again. Oh, gee, it sounds like she's got a lot in common with T. Franklin.
Unfortunately, the kind of stoning we're talking about is not the kind it deserves, but...
No wallet, a dead phone, 100 milligram edible eaten exactly 45 minutes ago. Other people staring, hungry, alone, street lights flickering.
So you're telling me she literally just got high and then wrote about it? Or wrote about it as she was getting high?
Yeah. So this is what passes for humor in the woke sphere. So this is why this book got nominated. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Because it has hipster cred, don't you know?
Yeah. All I can say is wow. And then Superman Lost by Christopher Priest. I think this was okay. Somebody would have to tell me. I didn't read it, but generally speaking, Christopher Priest is decent.
Superman goes into space, has an affair, has a kid.
Oh, okay. So yeah,
how and why is Superman unfaithful?
And go with the Godzilla book here.
Yeah, I agree with you, Undead Quinn, because like even if this isn't the Godzilla book that we've all heard of that is supposedly good, the Godzilla books tend to be good, and if they're not good, at least they're unvarnished by all this nonsense. So yeah, Gojira for the win. He is king of this category.
It's not the Godzilla book we deserve, but it's the one we need right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So moving on to the kind of the next kind of big category, best new series. So again, series that started in 2023. I'm gonna guess that this also excludes any characters or say titles that were previous, because if you nominated Transformers for best ongoing series, it started in 2023, so how could you not vote for it for best new series?
Because I assume ongoing means something that either has a previous rendition or is going off into 2024.
Yeah, or I'll say, I mean, again, as somebody pointed out earlier in the chat, where's Void Rivals? I mean, that should have been nominated for best limited series, I think. But so here's the best new series, Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, from IDW. I know somebody in the chat mentioned they liked that a lot and thought that was a worthy nomination, so I'll stick with that.
I've heard good things about that one. I can't speak to whether those good things I've heard are founded on anything.
Yeah. So Black Cloak by Kelly Thompson and Meredith McLaren. So our third Kelly Thompson book, third different book that got a nomination. Kat, you know anything about this one?
Nope.
Okay. Local Man by Tim Seeley and Tony Fleegs. I've read a few issues of this. I actually read one of the spinoffs from this. It's good. I think it's pretty good.
This one and Phantom Road, I think, deserve to be on this list.
Yeah. So Phantom Road by Jeff Lemire and Gabriel Hernandez Walta. And then Soma, a bedtime story by Becky Cloonan and Tula Loste from Distillery, which nobody is reading Distillery.
I think this category has the most that probably should be here, though, so that's an improvement.
Yeah.
Then again, there's a giant Kelly Thompson-shaped hole in the middle of the list, or there should be, but
Kelly Thompson might deserve to be in this. Somna is basically... This one got in through contacts. Like, this book is going to be who they know, who they're in contact with. That's the only reason it could be in this list.
Yeah. But again, you have to be shocked that there's no DC and no Marvel book in Best New Series.
Well, there might also be the award show bug of obscure equals good. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
for example, the Oscar Best Picture for the last like 10 years running has always been that one indie art house movie that nobody likes or saw.
Yeah.
I
So it might be a little bit of we have to marginalize the big two in a comic book award show because they're allegedly popular, or at least in theory should be.
I am questioning how Jay Garrick did not make it in this.
Oh, don't get me started. Yeah, that's the first one I thought of. Although, again, it's one of those things where the majority of that limited series came
Could be
out in
2024, yeah,
2024.
because like 4 issues were in 2024. So
Yeah, yeah. But here, before we go through the rest of the list and get to the writers and stuff, I just wanted to show this. So I went to look for this. This was the 2015 Eisners. Okay.
Hmm.
So to show you the quality or what has gone down, I'll say downhill. Here's our best single issue or one shot. The winner was Beasts of Burdens, Hunters and Gatherers by Evan Dorkin and Jill Thompson from Dark Horse. I'll say I haven't read it, but again, coming from those folks, I'll trust that is a worthwhile, decent winner of a book.
Dark House very rarely publishes crap, so I'm willing
Yeah.
to trust them on that basis.
Yeah. And then you've got Astro City number 16. Astro City was always an awesome series. I loved it. Madman in Your Face 3D special. Mike Allred's fantastic. Madman, again, something I've always loved. No surprise that Marvel's 75th anniversary celebration number 1 got on here. Okay. And then you've got the University Pax Americana by Grant Morrison and Frank Whiteley. Look at those 5 nominations versus what we got for best single issue in 2024.
They're all at least arguable on that list.
Yeah.
okay, now let's go back to when a few more years when there was such a thing called
The ghost of
meritocracy and
quality
Marvel.
award shows past.
Yeah. Well, again, so here we go. Best continuing series. Okay, I think we're not surprised. Saga, won. And that, hey, say what you will. Saga also sold a ton of books in comic book shops and brought in people that didn't normally go to comic book shops. So I think,
Which means it's clearly doing something right if it can.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
so again, I'll say it wasn't a book for me, but I think it's at least worthy. You can make a good explanation of why
It's arguable. Like I say, nothing here stands out as the why in all God's name would you put that on the list?
Here's my thing. It's like it is number 3 on this list of nominees. Hawkeye. It's like the popularity of these two is what kind of spurred the comics to go away from what they were, and like these two were used as the excuses to go all the way to what modern comics have become.
I mean, you could say the same thing though about some stuff like Sandman or Alan Moore's V for Vendetta or anything like that. Just because it started a bad trend doesn't mean it itself is bad. So there is that.
Nah, because like Hawkeye, Matt Fraction's Hawkeye is patient zero for the entire slice of lifeification of DC and Marvel.
Yeah. Okay, but
and again, just because it started a bad trend doesn't mean that its original patient zero wasn't good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's decent, but then you had a whole bunch of people that tried to copy it, and copy of a copy.
Which again is why I brought up stuff like V for Vendetta or Sandman or those kind of books, because they were good and some of the best the industry had ever seen, and then every motherfucker thought they were Neil Gaiman or Alan Moore, and then the New 52 happened, and the rest is history.
Even though Englantine's not here, you got your one. And then look at the other nominees again. Astro City, I loved Astro City.
Wait, what one did he get?
Bandit.
My mentioning of darker 90s comics, I assume, is what he's referring to.
No, the drop in the MF.
Oh,
I've
Okay.
had that there in my name the entire time, though.
All right, Bandette. So if anybody hasn't read this, this is a fun little I would say all audience type book. It was definitely a cute book. Hawkeye, we talked about Southern Bastards, Jason Aaron. I'm not a Jason Aaron fan, but my understanding is this was a good book. And then of course The Walking Dead. I mean, 2015, The Walking Dead was, probably as hot as it's ever
The
been.
thing, yeah.
And then you go
It was
down
as much
to,
the thing as anything could be. Yeah.
yeah. And then you go down to limited series here. Little Nemo, Return to Slumberland. I know this was a big one in terms of, I would say the art community type book. But I mean, it's a good book. Again, it's worthy to be on the list. Then you have the Daredevil series by Mark Waid, Multiversity by Grant Morrison, which again was I think a big book in 2015, a Brian K. Vaughan book, The Private Eye, and the Sandman Overture by Neil Gaiman and J.H. Williams. I mean, any of these...
Overture, fuck it so hard. I hate Overture so much.
All right, your feelings aside, any of these 5 books are better than any of the books on the limited series side in 2024.
Yes, but on general principle, I demand that Overture be posthumously blacklisted because screw that book so hard.
And then the best new series, this is one where we might go, oh geez, oh no, because there's a lot of books on here that go, okay, this is why the industry has become what it is. But the winner was Lumberjanes. Say what you will, Lumberjanes was popular. It did actually sell books. It also sold well in Scholastic. Unfortunately, it gave Noelle Stevenson a foothold in the industry, and she took over She-Ra, and the less said about that. The Fade Out by Brubaker and Phillips. If Venkman or Breen were on right now, they would be extolling the virtues of this. Ms. Marvel by G. Willow Wilson. So this was the very first volume, if G. Willow Wilson's on here for Ms. Marvel. That first volume is not bad. It's not bad. As Undead Quinn
it's just a terrible portent of things to come, so to speak.
And then Wicked and Divine by Karen Gilliam and Jamie McKelvey. I know people, that like this book. It definitely had an audience. You could also say that, it was part of being at ground zero of some of the other stuff that has come before it. But that's what we were seeing in 2015 in terms of nominations.
Again, at least arguable. I want to nuke Sandman Overture because it ruined a franchise that should not have been ruined, but
yeah. So we'll quickly kind of go through some of the rest here till we get to the good stuff. So you've got the best publication for early readers. I don't think anybody here has read any of these books. So best publication for kids. So they've got another one. Publication for teens. That's where Oni Press gets a nomination. Again, we're still kind of looking for that next Marvel one. Best humor publication. This is where Marvel gets a nomination.
A separate category. I get kids being a separate category because you actually have to keep in mind the audience when you're making kid stuff. But teens want nothing more than to be taken seriously as adults. I know. I remember being a teen. I know how this works.
Humor publication, don't they mean everything published by the big... most of them are complete jokes?
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's why you've got It's Jeff here represented for Marvel. And I would truly laugh my butt off if this was the only win that Marvel got.
And Kelly Thompson got.
Yeah.
Well, no, she's probably going to get multiples because that's probably why she's on here so many times.
Yeah. So here we've got the best anthologies, and there's 6 nominations for this. Here's that Comics for Ukraine. So I mean that thing got 2 nominations. Again, talking about if Zoop was the only place to get it, 93 people bought it.
Just to remind everybody, remember what I said earlier about how I'm sure F of N -1 year's biggest issue is going to come up? I was right. I called it. Because
Yeah.
FFN minus 1 year ago, it was Ukraine that was the current thing, and next year it will be the Israel-Palestine thing that was last year's current thing.
Yeah. Something called Deep Cuts that came out from Image. Another distillery nod for Devil's Cut. Marvel Age 1000. I had completely forgotten this came out in 2023. I felt like this came out like years ago. And
That's because they put out a 1000 every year.
it almost feels like it.
When we were going back through the 2015 one, I forgot that Multiversity was that young. I thought Multiversity came out years ago.
No, it came out around 2013, 2014, so it should be in the 2015 era.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I feel old now.
Yeah. So Undead Quinn, you say your pick is Swan Songs. Can you tell us what that's about, or what the theme is for it? And then of course, I think the book. So this is gonna be interesting. Do they go with the war thing because Ukraine's still in there, but it's kind of faded a little bit, or do they go full out agenda?
Probably Ukraine, because FFN minus 1 current thing.
Yeah, but I mean, Ukraine's not as prominent news-wise. I mean, unless you're talking about the funding stuff. I mean, that's not the war that's
so
at
hot
the
right
forefront.
now.
Yeah, I mean, remember, most of these people have put their blue and yellow pins away and have gone with red, white, and green ones. So,
on the other hand, though, they might use a speech talking about Ukraine from last year to springboard into Israel-Palestine talking points of this year. So
those are so hot right now.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we've got to talk about this because there's a couple of weird books on this list for best reality-based work. So the first one here is a book called "Are You Willing to Die for the Cause?"
No.
And
with all the subtlety of a freaking sledgehammer to the face.
Willing to die for the cause. Comic book. And let's see.
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say it's about what it says on the tin, effectively.
Let's see. Are You Willing to Die for the Cause? Is Quebec-born cartoonist Oliveira's deep dive into a contentious and dramatic period in Canadian history, the rise of a militant separatist group whose effects still reverberate today. It started in 1963 when a dozen mailboxes in a wealthy Montreal neighborhood were blown to bits. By the following year, a guerrilla army training camp was set up deep in the woods. So this is all about the Quebec Liberation Front in the 1960s.
So what you're saying is it's a bunch of merde?
Basically, it's a bunch of people from Canada sending strong-worded letters to each other.
And we shall once more with feeling blame Canada. Shame on
Canada. Canada's not real.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I had to make this up.
Yeah. So then we get, it's interesting here seeing two boxing-related books get nominated because that's who Jack Johnson is. Last on His Feet, Jack Johnson, The Battle of the Century. So that's going to be about one of Jack Johnson's greatest fights and things that he did. Then we have something Messenger, The Legend of Muhammad Ali by Mark Bernardin, who I recognize. I'm trying to think what he's written. And then we get to Thing, Inside the Struggle for Animal Personhood by Samuel Mikado and Cynthia Sousa Mikado. It's by Island Press.
In another life, there could actually be a decent book written about that in comic form. In today's day and age, though, where everything is my critical theory, my Frankfurt School, and my social justice, I would sooner let somebody play Russian roulette with me than assume that happened properly.
Don't forget
Okay, so here we go. According to Amazon, this is the write-up. Happy has lived at the Bronx Zoo for most of her 48 years, and for more than a decade has remained largely isolated and lonely. Like all elephants, Happy has a complex mind and a deep social, intellectual, and emotional life. She desires to make choices and has a sense of self-recognition. But like all non-human animals, Happy is considered a thing in the eye of the law with no fundamental rights. Due to a series of groundbreaking legal cases, however, this is beginning to change, and Happy's liberation is at the forefront. A vibrant and personal graphic novel, Thing, Inside the Struggle for Animal Personhood, traces the moving story and makes the legal and scientific case for animal personhood.
Okay, here's the thing. I will not sit here and be lectured about the nuances of personhood from people who use the phrase men's rights advocate as a synonym for fascists.
Yeah.
Because you do.
So this is all about
Many of you
recognizing
social
the
justice
rights of
fuckers
animals.
insist that men, as in the complementary identity to women, are not human, and yet you want to talk about the personhood of non-human animals. Please, and I implore you, go fuck yourself with a railroad spike.
All right, that's two. And then we've got, and this is
And George
actually,
Lucas.
I think this will be the winner because again, just kind of like Hollywood, I think that that you know the Eisners likes to recognize one of their own. So this is the story of a man who created Nancy, the famous comic strip, and Bill Griffith is I think also
I don't think they
recognized.
might go with that because they would have to acknowledge that a man created a famous female character again.
I think that Thing will win on the grounds that it pushes the scope of the ideology the furthest and is the most oblivious, as I just covered. They can't see
Yeah.
men as human. In fact, they prefer bears to men currently, but they see non-human animals as human. God damn it, I can't.
All right.
Dalton,
So then we've got
Dalton,
this
you
graphic
can't be
memoir.
against-
I don't care about any of these, so again, this is all whatever. So then we get down to best graphic album new, and this is where it gets fun. This is where it starts to get fun. So best graphic album new, this is basically going to be your non-trade paperback graphic novels that are brand new. So something called Ashes that has a translation that came out from Top Shelf IDW. Eden 2 by Fantagraphics. A Guest in the House by Emily Carroll.
Not Ashes of Eden
Roaming by
by
Mariko and Jillian Tamaki. And then we come to this one. Parasocial by Alex DeCampi, Murderer, and Erica Henderson from Image. And now that I know, I never want to read another Erica Henderson drawn book again if she's going to associate herself with somebody like this person. And for those of you who don't know, Alex DeCampi is the, I will say, in my personal opinion, an alleged sociopath that has bullied and harassed and canceled many people in the comics community, and was named in Ed Piskor's note that he left behind.
Let's be entirely real with ourselves. Social justice and this academic woo bullshit is basically the cluster B disorder acceptance movement at this point. There is not a single one of them, the true believers of the ideologies, that don't qualify as having one or more cluster B personality disorder syndromes. So there's that. Also, I wanted to highlight Gwinder's comment because I appreciate the Demolition Man reference, and yes, I got the reference.
Yeah. Also, LK, you can't actually judge Erica Henderson for associating with her because this was a year before that happened.
Oh, see, I'm sorry. I disagree because Alex DeCampi has been a horrible, rotten person that has been canceling and been part of the Whisper Network for probably a decade plus now.
Yeah, it's not as if his aforementioned cluster B personality disorder emerged just now.
No, but the main thing is they're all like that. If you don't choose to work with a person like that, you don't work.
Well, yes, but that's why I point out that if the industry had its head on straight, they would make a rule. We are going to psychologically evaluate our writers before they show up to make sure they don't have cluster B personality disorders. That shouldn't be a very high bar to clear, but apparently it's fucking Herculean to try and clear it.
Dalton, the only noticeable thing straight about this industry is the arrow down, pointing down, straight down of quality and sales.
Yeah, I know, but
There's nothing and no one straight in this industry.
yeah,
Yeah.
but speaking as the token non-straight dudes, you can be not straight without being a massive seer of things next Tuesday.
Yeah. So
Yeah, but
how
all
about
right.
this for a book?
Have you given
This,
that a try?
yeah. How about this for the synopsis for this book, and tell me if she's not revealing something here. So, in the middle of a pandemic, a fading genre TV actor, fresh from his long-running series cancellation, collides with an obsessive fan at a Texas convention. When she lures him into her home, he'll have to put on the greatest performance of his life simply to survive until morning. Unless, of course, he's the real monster.
Yeah, autobiographical much?
And then I love this. So, because I'm looking at the Amazon page and they're talking about early praise for Parasocial. Holy shit. This book fucking rocks. It's rough as hell, but also tenderly real, like a fresh bruise. From the playlist to the characters, colors, and panels, Parasocial is this generation's misery. That is a quote from one Vita Ayala.
I know it might shock you, Ms. Vita, but we're not all seers of things next Tuesday who can't be
Right.
arsed to be anything other than hipsters. So, you can speak for yourselves and for your little cliques, but you cannot speak for the entire generation. Speaking as a millennial on the very cusp of Zoomerism, yeah, no, you may screw yourself on that account too, my dear.
Wait, LK, you said one Vita Ayala. How can they
Yeah.
be? How can they claim to be they if there's just one of them?
Well, that's true. Yeah. That's the paradox that we find
Because
ourselves in.
because they're going by Romance language rules where they is the neutral. That's why
Yeah.
I don't mind it so much.
Yeah.
Not they is a
So I
pain
don't
in
know.
the ass, talentless hack.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm seriously thinking about, for fun, doing a change.org petition to petition the Eisners to remove Alex DeCampi, but I don't know. Because
It's not like they would listen to you because they would find this
No.
live stream and then you'd be blacklisted anyway.
Yeah, but it would be interesting to see how many signatures it would get. So here we go. Best graphic album reprint. Doctor Strange Fall Sunrise Treasury Edition by Trad Moore. I heard that was really good.
I can't speak to it, which in and of itself is telling. I will have to check it out and see when it comes out in a trade or omnibus format.
Yep. Something called The Good Asian by Image. Hip Hop Family Tree, The Omnibus by Ed Piskor from Fantagraphics.
Rest in peace.
Yeah. Orange Complete Box Set. Translation from 7C. So obviously this is some long-running manga. And then Wonder Woman Historia. The less said, the better about that one. I'm hoping that Hip Hop Tree, I'm hoping that enough people maybe get guilted into voting for this. So it wins.
I mean, I would love to see Doctor Strange win as always, but I don't want it to win unless it's actually good. So I have to actually double check.
Okay. Then we get to best adaptation from another medium. So here you see Beowulf, but spelled B. Oh God, I don't even want to think about what that bastardization of Beowulf might be.
Why would you ruin Beowulf? What did Beowulf ever do to you? Show me up the doll where Beowulf touched you.
Yeah, by Viz Media. So this obviously is a manga adaptation of something like Dracula. Something from Dark Horse Manga, H.P. Lovecraft's The Shadow over Innsmouth. Monkey King, The Complete Odyssey, and a graphic retelling of Watership Down. Okay. Now,
I mean, I have nothing against most of those except for the aforementioned badly spelled Beowulf, which does not bode well.
Yeah. And so then we've got a category here, Best U.S. Edition of International Material. I'm not familiar with any of these. And interestingly enough, it looks like I don't see any manga related books on there. They've got a separate category now for Asia. So you see that Bram Stoker Dracula one again, and some other books. And I think I've heard of the Summer Hikaru Died, but I don't know what that is, and I'm not familiar with any of the other ones on here. And then we get to archival collection project with strips. So you can see a Walt Disney book there and a few others. This is usually where, like Fantagraphics, you can see they've got 3 nominations. That's definitely what they're into. Archival collections for comic books. Here we go. Adventures into Terror, the Atlas Comics Library, Volume 1. All Negro Comics, 75th Anniversary Edition, edited by Chris Robinson. The Ballad of Halo Jones, full color omnibus by Alan Moore and Ian Gibson. So from 2000 AD. The John Severin Westerns featuring American Eagle. And Michael Golden's Marvel Stories Artist Edition, edited by Scott Dunbar. Yeah, that's where I've heard of him. He works for IDW.
I mean, I would ask how could they possibly fuck up archiving previous material, but unfortunately, that's not a safe question to ask, because then the universe will endeavor to answer me, and I don't want that answer.
Yeah. I think it happens all the time, but I'm really surprised that there are no Tomorrow's Publishing books listed on here, because I mean they do a lot of good archival stuff. So now we get to the next kind of set of big categories. Here we've got Best Writer, and we've got 6 nominees. Stephen Graham Jones for Earth Divers from IDW. Have no idea. Mariko Tamaki, specifically nominated for Roaming, and I thought she was writing a DC or a Marvel book in 2023, but I might be wrong. Tom Taylor for Nightwing and Titans, DC.
Does not deserve to be on that. I think Mariko Tamaki was writing that. No, I think she left Detective Comics by then.
Oh yeah, no, Ram V's been doing Detective Comics, I think, for
but did he start in did Mariko do something in 2023-ish?
Yeah. Okay, well, thanks, Dominic. Dominic here saying that Earth Divers is a sci-fi time travel comic book that deals with college-age adults going back in time to kill Christopher Columbus and other historical figures. Okay.
Well,
sounds decent enough.
That couldn't possibly go wrong and go into revisionist history territory or anything.
Yeah. Kelly Thompson with her list of books on here, Mark Waid, and G. Willow Wilson for Poison Ivy and Hunger in the Dusk. So if you had to choose one of these 6, who would it be?
D, none of the above. Again.
Black Cat?
Mark Waid had the better books, but because he's a tool and because Poison Ivy didn't start to suck until 2024, I'd give it to G. Willow Wilson.
Okay.
Poison Ivy started off good, but then pressure went, so they had to incorporate Ivy's the only character.
I suppose Mark Waid is a decent writer when he's not being an asshole, although that's 85% of the time, so your results may vary.
I will take based on
not giving him anything.
Yeah, I'm going to take based on what Dominic said about Earth Divers, and I will choose Stephen Graham Jones by default because I cannot vote for Tom Taylor, Kelly Thompson, Mark Waid, or G. Willow Wilson, or Mariko Tamaki.
That is also fair, yes.
Yeah. So best writer artist. So somebody who's doing both jobs here: Emily Carroll for A Guest in the House, Bill Griffith for the Three Rocks book, Daniel Warren Johnson for Transformers.
Who should win if there is any sensibilities in any sense of sense?
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
Mocha Maronin for The Summer Hikaru Died. Zoe Thorogood for Hack/Back to School. I don't know how on earth she got a nomination.
Basically,
I know why.
The best way to describe her is the first word of that book.
What?
Basically, the best way to describe her is the first word of her book.
Yeah. And then Tilly Walden for Clementine Book 2 from Image Skybound. I have not heard of it from that Skybound book, so
Uh,
I mean, from
oh
this,
no,
I mean, obviously, I mean, I think
there-
we all think that Daniel Warren Johnson should win.
Yeah,
I think
Transformers for the
I think
win.
Clementine is from. I don't think it's a book. I think it was an anthology series called Image with a like exclamation mark.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Okay.
there were multiple short stories. So Jeff Johns had a book story there, and I think the Massiveverse had some stories there.
Oh, actually, oh, there we go. Dark Admiral March Hare here is saying that Clementine is a Walking Dead spinoff. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. And then we get to Best Penciler /
Wait,
Inker.
I thought it was the
Or-
minor 49ers daughter.
Oh, that's an old joke. So here we
Scooby-Doo
go.
references.
Best Penciler Inker or Penciler Inker team. That's interesting. So we've got Jason Sean Alexander, who I guess did some work in DC Comics, and also did Philadelphia from Image with Herman
Yeah.
Eramus.
Philadelphia, Jason Sean Alexander is Philadelphia's main artist, and he did some. I think he did a little bit. I think he's still on Detective Comics, or may not be on, but I think he did
Okay.
the back.
Okay. Tula Lotte for something called Barnstormers, a Ballad of Love and Murder, from the last time that we will ever probably see the name Comixology. Inaki Miranda for Godzilla, Here There Be Dragons. Dan Mora for Batman Superman, World's Finest, and Shazam. Chris Samney for Firepower, and Jillian Tamaki for Roaming.
Gojira.
I would say Jason Sean Alexander for this one.
Really? Okay. I was going to go Dan Mora because I know he's been doing some excellent work. And people
I
really
think that guy's overrated. One name I don't see, and maybe because they only had the two issues out.
Yeah.
If it goes to inkers, it is Brad.
Well,
Anderson.
it's either penciler inker. So he does, the person does both jobs, or the team, the penciler inker team.
So Brad Anderson does most of the inking. Wait, is he an inker or a colorist? Okay, my bad. He's a colorist.
Oh,
Never
okay.
mind.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, I mean, not really seeing a lot of the familiar names that we're used to seeing in terms of,
there is
top art.
no Jorge Jimenez, who I think is one of the best around.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm surprised that, since Wonder Woman got a nomination, I'm really surprised that Daniel St. Pierre is not on here. I mean, it's his work that makes that Wonder Woman book even passably readable.
Same with Nightwing and Bruno Redondo. Like, the only praise that should be going to Nightwing is his art.
Yeah. So here we go. Best painter / multimedia artist for interior art. So Jason Sean Alexander again for Blackula, Return of the King. Okay. Chico for The Monkey King. Juanjo Barnito for Black Sad, Volume 7. Liam Sharp for Noctera, Nemesis Special, and Starhenge, The Dragon and the Boar. Martin Simmons for Universal Monsters Dracula and Santa Takata, The Night Eaters for Reapers and Monsters. Oh, Takeda?
Yeah, Sana Takeda. I think she is one of the best art. Like, her art is really good. I think she's one of the better artists, along with Fiona Staples. Like, if you go with the female artists, and but basically, she has been exclusive to Monstrous most of the time. Like, that's her main exposure. While Liam Sharp is one of my favorite artists, and I would say for me he's the definitive Wonder Woman artist to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Well, I mean, I've been a Liam Sharp fan since his days at Marvel UK. So.
Yeah, I don't know about that. So, like, I was introduced to most of the majority. I think I remember first time was Wonder Woman Rebirth, and then there was that Brave and the Bold series, Batman Wonder Woman Brave and the Bold series that he did like art and writing for, I think, during Rebirth. So that's where he became the definitive Wonder Woman artist for me.
Yeah, I think he was the penciler on Hell's Angel / Dark Angel, at least for some of those issues.
He was the artist for Grant Morrison destroying Green Lanterns.
Yeah. So here we go. We get to best cover artist, which in the past has been always a good category, but there are some interesting names. I'll just say that. You've got Jen Bartel with all the stuff that she does.
Say
My
what you
biggest
will.
problem with Jen
stuff
Bartel is
popular
every
amongst-
cover looks exactly the same.
Yeah, but say what you will, her covers
but
actually are popular among certain fans.
Yes.
So
but
we can't judge
again, for
based
me,
on that. Like,
every cover looks exactly the same. Evan Cagle, DC for Detective Comics, Jenny Frison for a whole bunch of stuff, E.M. Geist for Dragon 2, Something's Killing the Children, alternate covers for Boom Studios. He did Amazing Spider-Man 23, Dr. Aphra, Moon Knight, and on and on. I'm honestly not familiar with his stuff. If you guys are, speak up. Peach Momoko for Demon Wars, Scarlet Sin, and other alternate covers. Yeah, I've heard of her too. And Dan Mora. So Undead Quinn here is saying that Jenny Frison or E.M. Geist or Geist or Gist or however you pronounce it is his would be his picks. You guys have a choice here of these 6, which you would go for?
I would say Frison maybe, or Mora.
Okay, I'd probably lean to Mora, but again, I've been a Peach Momoko fan. I like her stuff. So best coloring, you got Jordi Belair, Matt Hollingsworth, Lee Loffridge, Dave McCaig, and Dean White. So this is where the person you were talking about, what should go.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not surprised to see Jordi Belair on there. She hangs around with the right crowd. And then the lettering category here, some of the usual names. There's good old Richard Starkings. This made me chuckle. So best comics related periodical / journalism. Comics Journal 309, edited by folks with Fantagraphics. The Indirect Market by Brandon Schatz and Danica LeBlanc from Comics Beat. So Heidi McDonald's website gets a nod, but it's not Heidi McDonald. So you gotta love it. Rob Salkowitz for Forbes and ICV2. David Harper sketched. I've seen this guy online. He is a total freaking tool, which means he's probably gonna win. And then Solrad, the online literary magazine for comics. I have not heard of this at all. Best comics related book. You have the book about Brian Talbot here. Confabulation and Anecdotal Autobiography by Dave Gibbons. Flamed Out, The Underground Adventures and Comics Genius of Willie Murphy. A book on Judge Dredd. The Pacific Comics Companion. Oh, there we go. There's a nod for Tomorrow's. That's good. And Thalmus, The Art of Dave McKean. So, and then I think kind of the last category here I want to take a look at, because this is funny, or I would say funny and interesting.
I mean, anything with The Art of Dave McKean in it is probably pretty good, because Dave McKean, so there's that.
But take a look at this. So they've got a category called Best Academic / Scholarly Work. So we've got a piece called Asian Political Cartoons by John Lint out of the University of Press of Mississippi.
LK, are you trying to kill me? Are you trying to give me a stroke? Because
sure.
This would be a good way of actually accomplishing it, methinks.
Yeah. You've got an academic work called The Claremont Run, Subverting Gender in the X-Men out of the University of Texas Press. Part of me actually,
of course, really the only thing worth discussing in that run is its gender relationship. Oh, I hate this so much.
Of course. Well, not just gender relationships. It's subverting gender.
Yes, I know. Because literally the only things academia can do now is focus on demographical information. Because Frankfurt School nonsense I would say Gramsci is rolling in his grave, but he would probably be jumping for joy right now.
Yeah, then we have Desegregating Comics, Debating Blackness in the Golden Age of American Comics. We have
Excuse you.
if Scheherazade drew critical writings on Arab comics. Invisible Archives, Queer and Feminist Visual Culture in the 1980s. And Superbodies, Comic Book Illustration, Artistic Styles, and Narrative Impact by Jeffrey Brown from the University of Texas Press. So it's kind of like, which oppressed group do you think is going to win this?
Or which pseudo-academic nonsense went hard enough into the pseudo-academic paint is basically the gist of this.
Well, remember that you can sign up to be a voter for the Eisners if you.
How many circumlocutions of academic woo can we manage? How Gramscian can we be? Basically.
Yeah. Well, if there's enough people feeling guilty, they're feeling their white guilt, they're going to vote for this one.
I might actually literally need a drink after that category.
Yeah. So then we have best publication design for basically different books, and then best webcomic. I will say I have not heard of any of these 6 webcomics, so your mileage may vary. And then we get to best digital comic, which I guess is different. And then you've got here Black Sad Volume 7, Friday by Ed Brubaker. I have no idea what this is by Ed Brubaker, but I assume it's going to be good. Again, Comixology Originals. They got 2 nods. And then Witch's Guide to Burning, their Instagram. That's an interesting one. So those are all the nominations, and we get to.
I feel offended on the behalf of every practitioner on that last one. Fucking hell.
Yeah. So the nominations. So voters will get to select 4 of these 16 names for induction into the Comic Book Hall of Fame, or the Eisner Awards Hall of Fame. And the nominees are, we have Gus Arriola, who was a Mexican-themed artist for a long time. Probably a lot of people will recognize Eddie Campbell. I think probably his most well-known book is doing From Hell with Alan Moore, but he also had a lot of his own stuff. Mike Friedrich, who did a lot of DC stuff back in the day. The late Don Heck, who was a huge Marvel artist back in the glory days. Klaus Janson, who is a penciler, inker, you name it.
Like someone who deserves to be there. I think Don Heck should go in as well, but Janson definitely.
Yeah. So Abe Kingston, who was a letterer on Will Eisner's Spirit. Surprised it kind of taken this long to get him. I'm not sure how many nominations he had in the past. One person who doesn't deserve it right now and should be held off until he leaves DC is Jim Lee.
I think we have to look at the impact of what he did before he became a lazy bastard who's essentially enjoying a corporate.
I think his reward should be being excluded from the Hall of Fame until he leaves DC. Then we can look at the rest of his career. Mike Mignola.
You have to give props to the fact that you can say a lot about the people that created Image, like Liefeld and the rest of the group. But the fact that they were able to break out, create their own thing, and I would say indie comics would not be where they are if it wasn't for basically those 7 idiots.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's not worthy or deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. I just think that right now he shouldn't be in it, or he should. He's
ruining his own legacy currently. Is the problem?
Yeah. So Mike Mignola, the late.
I will be standing for Mike Mignola just because he deserves to be on this list already.
Aside from Hellboy, is anything he did that great?
Wow.
Okay, but the entire BPRD universe is his baby, and it's been the most consistent franchise for the last 20 years. So
Yeah, but we have to agree. We have to look at the simple fact. Aside from a small handful of people, does anyone care?
I will lynch you for that.
All right,
I'm warning you now. I will lynch you for
Am I gonna
that.
have to separate you two?
Like, does anyone care?
Am I gonna have to separate you two?
Like,
There we go.
you ask the average person on average comic book fan and be like, "What's BPRD?" And
Are we gonna have to do show and tell? Because I have an entire shelf of hardcover BPRD related omnibuses.
I said the average, not the fanatical one.
All right.
Like, not Jimmy,
I'm
not
going to
the
make
other
the
guy.
head explode.
Let's get
Scatter
through the
style.
rest
You
of
know,
the list
shut the frick up, sir.
Like, ask Venkman or ask like Zach and see if they
Yeah,
realize.
but I don't. But you see, that their problem is they're too normy, and I don't particularly care what the casuals are doing or thinking.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if you go into the Hall of Fame, you have to have that casual appeal. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
you have to have appeal to the hardest of the hardcores, which Mike Mignola has definitely earned.
Yeah, but like your fans are always going to be your fans. So that one indie book that only 10 people have a hardcore
He
fan base.
created an entire goddamn universe with like 50 different titles going at any given time, and they're all consistently awesome, which is far more than Marvel or DC has managed to do for the last 20 years.
Yes, but have they retained that fan base? That's what I'm talking about. They have a small fan base, but has it reached that?
It's
Like
an entire universe. Its quality standards are high and consistent, and it is putting out as much, if not more, content consistently than Marvel or DC have for the last 20 years. I will brook no dissent on this. I do not give a shit what casuals do. I give a shit what quality actually is. And based on quality, effort, and the time and effort it took to create an entire universe and keep it consistent for the last 20 years, Mike Mignola has paid his dues, goddammit.
Yeah, and what I'm saying, no one gives a shit.
All right.
That's the main problem.
Let's end it here.
Like, if the
Agree to
normies don't
disagree.
like it could be the best thing ever. It could blow DC and Marvel out of the water every single issue. But if no one cares about it, is it good? Like, it's the tree falling in the woods.
There are hardcover omnibuses for literally everything in the Mignolaverse. Clearly enough people care to financially sustain that, or it wouldn't exist.
Okay, enough said. Then we get to sadly the late Tom Palmer. So this is a case where I'll say, see, I don't know necessarily what the standards are for the comic book Hall of Fame. Tom Palmer was very good at what he did, but I'm not sure it rises to a Hall of Fame level.
Was he the best at what he did, and was what he did not nice?
I don't know if he would ever say.
Funny how you suddenly remember that standard when it's anyone but Mike Mignola, apparently.
All right, settle down. Then we've got Bob Powell, who again was another person that worked at Eisner Studio and worked on the Spirit and what have you. Mike Royer, who worked on Gold Key stuff, Magnus Robot Fighter, did a lot of stuff with Hanna-Barbera as well. And
Gold Key is awesome, but I'm standing with Mike on this one. It's his turn, goddammit.
All right. Well, if you can sign up to vote for the Eisners and make him one of your 4 selections.
Unfortunately, it's not worth it. I'm sorry, Mike, but you're gonna have to win without me. Granted, that should be easy because quality is quality, and I will brook no dissent on this point. But
quantity.
All right, this was an interesting one because I had no idea about this. So Ira Schnapp, Schnapp was a logo designer and letterer. He brought his design styles to DC Comics. He redesigned the Superman logo in 1940 and did a whole bunch of their stuff basically for 20 years. And this is probably what's going to disqualify him from the Hall of Fame. is he created the Comics Code seal.
Oh yeah, no, fuck that guy.
Well, I'm sure you probably didn't necessarily have a choice, but it's interesting that he was the one that came up with the design. Then you have.
Unfortunately, there is a special place in artistic hell for anyone associated with the Comics Code. I'm sorry. I will notice that on that point either.
Well, then here's another one that
better.
you're probably not going to like, because Phil Seuling here was a comic book retailer, and he was the guy who helped develop the concept of the direct market distribution system.
Yeah, fuck that guy.
So he's one of the guys
artistic
that,
hell for you too. There.
Helped bypass newspaper magazine distribution. Leonard Starr is a famous comic strip writer.
Starr?
Leonard Starr, Starr. He drew Submariner, Human Torch for Timely. He did the Flash Gordon strip in the mid-50s, and then he did a strip of his own for 22 years. Oh, that's right, yeah. And then he revived the Little Orphan Annie strip and did that for another 20 years. So
he made Little Orphan Annie strip? That bastard.
Yes. Jill Thompson. So most of the people are going to know her for her Vertigo work.
Didn't she die?
Not according to this. So she's still alive. And then Angelo Torres, who began his career in 1950 working on EC titles and doing stuff Blazing Combat. And he last did the Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure movie adaptation for DC in 1989. So there you go. Those are your Hall of Fame candidates. So I guess to kind of start wrapping this up here a little bit, we went through the nominations. So the question becomes, we come back to the question that we started out with at the beginning. Do the Eisner Awards still matter?
No.
I don't think it's mattered since 2015, 2016. Like whenever TDS set in, I don't think it's mattered since then.
Even then, I would argue that the relevance was teetering even back then. So
yeah, basically,
who knows
like
at this point?
When the candidacy was around, like that's when you had what was it? The Secret Empire thing starting. I think
when was
back,
All New All Different started? Was that 2015 or was that 2016?
All New All Different started. I think the event that led into it was 2015, so maybe 2015 or 16. But I think it was circling a little before All New All Different. I'd say 2014 is where it was really circling.
Because there was about a year and a half where DC was still holding up the banner of quality as Marvel dove off the All New All Different cliff, but then they immediately fell off that same cliff about a year and a half after Marvel did. So
DC had that banner up all the way up until I think 2019, where it just dropped it. Like 2018, it was lowering it. 2019, it just threw it on the ground.
In my memory, there was about a year and a half to 2 years between when Marvel fell off the cliff and when DC followed them down it.
DC had some decent stuff in 2017, 2018, 2019 a little bit. It was here and there, but
when did Bendis take over Super Sons?
He didn't. He canceled Super Sons. That was, I think, 2019.
Well, okay, but when did the Bendis contagion start spreading?
I think it was 2018 or 19. I forgot.
I definitely want to say it was at least 2017. Is the thing?
No,
I could be wrong, but I remember there being about a year and a half to 2 years between when Marvel fell off the cliff versus when DC did.
DC was an excellent quality all throughout 2017. It was 2018 when it started going to hell.
Okay, you might be right, because when did Witching Hour come out and completely ruin the magic side of the DC universe?
That was I want to say 2019 or 2018.
Okay, then I might be wrong, because
Well, So I looked it up. So the Super Sun series with Peter J. Tomasi and stuff that ended May of 2018.
Yeah,
Okay.
so basically
Okay,
2018-ish,
so I was
19.
mistaken. Mulligan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but let me pose this question though. So, do you think, looking at this year's nominations, do you think the Eisners have been hijacked, or do you think it actually accurately represents what the current comic book industry is?
I think it's been a little bit
Well-
hijacked, but not fully, because
Well, the industry has been hijacked, which is the larger problem. I think the Eisners are accurately representing the industry. The industry is just not representing the fan base, the audience, or the customer base. They're sheltered, they're out of touch, and they're warped and ideological to the highest degree. So it only makes sense that the Eisners themselves would follow suit. The problem is the industry itself is out of touch with what the industry should be doing.
Yeah, on that, Quinn, the witching hour we're talking about is the Wonder Woman Justice League Dark crossover that was around 2019, 2018.
Yeah, and it utterly ruined the magic side and the cosmic side of the DC universe, which is why it shall forever live in my memory of scorn.
Yeah, so I just looked that up. That was October 2018. Was
okay?
that,
okay, okay, so I'm not that far off in any case.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I agree with you, Dalton. I think that, you know, and of course, again, you're going to see a lot of people talking about the fact of, you know, oh, the Eisners are awful and this and that. Yeah, that's true, but I think it's
only because the industry is.
It actually accurately reflects what a disaster this industry has become.
No, because what I said is there are some quality books that have been left out. Like,
right, but that's because they're not industry approved books. They're not the in crowd books, which is what the industry effectively is.
Yeah, I mean, case in point, I mean, Jeremy Adams was still on The Flash in 2023, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One assumes, I think.
Yeah.
He was on there up till September. I think August or September.
Yeah.
Because September is when the other run started, Spurrier. So he was there July, August, somewhere around that time. He was still there.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time too, they've definitely also fallen into the Oscars trap, where it almost looks like they refuse to recognize any large selling
anything that's popular or well liked, because things that are popular and well liked by the audience is just populism, patooey. Therefore, it couldn't possibly be artistically valid.
Even as shit as the story has been, like, ASM for a long time has been the number one selling book in 2023 for multiple months. No matter how bad it was. Have you seen a single nom for that?
No.
And it was like, even if it was terrible, for a long time in 2023, that was the highest selling book. No mention. Batman, which was the second highest or the highest. Like, those two flip-flop between the highest and second highest with some anomalies here and there. Number one issues here and there. Not a single mention of those two books.
Yeah, it's the same reason why the Oscars will never, unless someone puts a gun to their head, ever address when a blockbuster is the best movie of the year when that happens. Yeah. Because if the audience, if the unwashed masses of the plebs like it, then it couldn't possibly be valid art. Derp.
Yeah. So, and I want to highlight this because I was just going back to look. So, because we saw at the beginning, Marvel got 5 nominations and then had, you know, some shared ones, I think, thanks to Kelly Thompson, basically. So here are Marvel's 5 nominations. They got the nomination for It's Jeff in the Best Humor Publication category. They got the nomination in the Best Anthology category for the Marvel Age 1000. They got a Best Graphic Album reprint nomination for the Doctor Strange book. And then they
Which I want to believe is good. I really do. I want to believe that's good, but I will have to get it to check out.
Yeah, so their fourth nomination, well, actually, no, because that's IDW. So one of the shared nominations would be the best writer for Kelly Thompson. And shared nominations for Jen Bartel and E.M. Geist on the best cover artist. And Matt Hollingsworth is there. So best coloring, because Matt Hollingsworth is all his work is Marvel. And that's it. That's all of Marvel's nominations. That's how far Marvel has fallen.
Which, I mean, as go the big two, so go the industry.
Yeah. But I mean, by comparison, DC got 13 solo nominations and then shared 8 others.
But is that the most though? Is that the company that got the most?
Image had the most.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
When neither Marvel nor DC is putting out enough, even arguably quality books to justify being the highest represented in these kind of lists, you know that either it's the hipster nepotism thing of popular things couldn't possibly be valid art, or it's that simply there aren't enough books that are even arguably good to make a list out of. So
yeah, or as you talk about though, there aren't even enough Marvel books to reach that hipster or leftist progressive. Oh, we've got to put this on here.
The She-Hulk audience, quote unquote.
Yeah. That's a great point. I would say She-Hulk's not on here.
I would say the entire X office has been like taken over by those hipster bullshit.
Well, because X-Men is their golden goose, because they can funnel all the social commentary, all the oppressor-oppressed bullshit, all of the critical theory nonsense into the X-Men, because in their minds that's what defines the X-Men as the X-Men. They're wrong about that, and I will bitch and moan about that until my dying day, but that is the zeitgeist definition of the X-Men, that they're supposed to be the stand-ins for the outcasts and the ideologues and the oppressed and so on. So,
And as we saw last night when we did the Bad Comic beatdown, look at Gail Simone's Uncanny X-Men Free Comic Book Day preview, which is all about Jubilee taking revenge on some dumb high school, college kids that kind of quote unquote ran her off the road
by abusing her powers and being a terrorist.
Called a furry names in a diner. We are going to see more of the same from that. But yeah, I think again that probably you can make a good argument that the Eisners represent what the comic industry currently is.
It's just that the industry doesn't bother to represent its fan base, its audience, its customer base, or those who finance it in any way.
Yeah. Yep. So, all right, we've been going almost 2 hours here, so we'll go ahead and wrap this up and close this out. So, want to thank everybody who's been watching, who will catch this stream later on the channel. Again, please, if you like this type of content, you want to see more of it, click that like button, click on subscribe, make sure you click on the notification and set that to all, so you get to hear about all the great shows here on the I Love Comics channel.
Drop a dollar or $5 on the Ko-Fi link.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. You see the Ko-Fi link there scrolling underneath. Don't forget, we will have a comics auction here on Saturday, 8 o'clock Eastern.
Or when the old man gets his ass up and arranges things and gets it ready.
In his defense, he's in the middle of moving, so there is an excuse.
He's already moved to a new town.
Yeah. Well, he's in the middle of putting stuff away.
Yeah, he hasn't yet gotten most of his stuff out of storage. That's why every time he's been on camera lately, it's been generic white background wall.
Yeah. So I'll tell you that will probably be the next time you'll see me, unless there happens to be a stream tomorrow. I also am planning on being on the Extreme Movie Show on Sunday night at, I think it's 6:30 Eastern, where myself and Rob and Pixel will be going over episode 6 from the first season of Columbo, Short Fuse, starring Roddy McDowall. So a lot of fun. If you've never watched Columbo, I encourage you to check it out. It's one of the best shows that was ever
Franco
made.
Colombo?
What's that?
Is it about Franco Colombo?
No, it's about Inspector Lieutenant Columbo.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, although I believe his first name is Frank, although you almost never hear anybody mention his first name.
I mean, there's a reason the show is based on his last name, because it's the more distinctive one.
Yeah. So great fun with that. Hope to see you over there. Appreciate all the views. Again, thanks to the panel here. Dalton, what do you got going here the rest of the week?
For the rest of this week, I have the podcast The Storm on Sunday, which is a weekly sort of geek news roundup show I do with the Brainstormer of Pop Culture. And on next Wednesday, I will be doing a men's rights and men's issues stream with Mr. E2099, which we call The Duality of Man. Please find your way over there if you're at all interested in men's rights or men's issues. Other than that, I will mostly probably just be around here co-hosting whenever Anglin wants me to co-host. I did recommend Has Been Hotel to him on the basis that it was a musical, and so I suspect we will eventually be doing a video on that when he gets around to finishing that, because it's been living in my head as an obsession rent-free for like the past week. But there's that. Other than that, I will see you all later, and unless OK wants to do a bad comic beatdown of Lansing and Kelly's latest Drek, which I'm sure he will blackmail me into.
That might have to hold for tomorrow. Yeah, because there's a lot of processing that has to go into that, and it's a little too late, I think, for me to get my blood boiling on that. Let's just say if there were any kind of Razzie Award for comics, I think we might.
You mean the Gabby Awards?
Yes. Yeah, we might have to resurrect the Gabby Awards just to give Colin or Jackson Lansing and Colin Kelly a special award for asshattery for this Outsider series, and specifically Outsiders -- 7. But the less said, better. Thanks again, Black
I shall
Cat,
once more bring the absence.
Again, thanks for staying up late with us.
Yeah. So are we not going to, have we touched on Tom King writing Jenny Sparks yet, or?
We mentioned it. I talked about it briefly on the show, on the stream yesterday. Yes, as I say, Marvel and DC are really liking to kick Warren Ellis in the nuts over and over and over again. Because along with that, Tom Brevoort did an interview last week talking about the new X-Men books. And the interviewer asked him about X-Force. And he said, well, I like to consider it as it's going to be Marvel's version of Planetary. And then in the next sentence, he talked about how the team was going to be like a kill squad. And my first thought was, okay, if you think that, that means you have no idea what Planetary is.
That's what you got out of Planetary.
Yeah. I mean, if there's a kill squad in Planetary, it's the Four. And they're evil. So that, just makes me shudder to think what X-Force is going to be like. But yeah, that probably will get brought up again on a stream this weekend, talking about that. I know E wants to actually do a stream on that whole Tom Brevoort interview, so we'll see when that happens.
I'll have to disagree with you there, Undead Quinn. Has Been Hotel is my jam.
All right, and with that, again, we thank everybody who's watching. Have a great day, and we will talk to you again. Good night, everybody.
Later, folks.
Cheers, guys.